Hello, so welcome back for the transformation path. So, what we're working with here with these energies is the energies that are really going to help us through change. So, whether that is in our business and we're actually, embracing change and wanting to move up through our next level, um, in business, or these same energies will actually help you through any kind of period of change or transformation because it's showing you the energies that you can really lean into, anchor into. So we've got you'll notice the word here in the center with our primary genus is now anchor. So it's like, what can you use as your anchor through all of this? Um, and it's really helping you to move forward with kind of clarity, courage, and showing you the energies you can rely on and lean into to help you make your moves as you move through things. In business, we're constantly, as an entrepreneur, we do tend to be always looking to move on to the next thing. And sometimes change is instigated by us, sometimes change just happens. But any kind of transformation that you're going through, this path is going to support you. So, we have got the three energies as always. So we've got rebirth over here coming from Pluto, which is showing you that kind of energy, which is that next level, that death and rebirth, and actually, releasing what is not serving you and then moving on to the next thing. Because if we want to change something, once we get over here, we might have to release a version of ourselves or, shed something to be able to get to that next level. So it's really helping you with the energy that you can lean into for that. Then the permission is kind of helping us to, get out of our own way, really. Um, and we can lean in to give ourselves permission to actually do that, to make those changes, to lean forward. And yeah, just really unleashing your desires and giving yourself full permission to actually move through these periods of change. Um, and at the bottom, we've got Mars, which is showing us like how we kind of make moves, what our growth potential is, our aligned action, how we're gonna actually create momentum and move forward. It's all about sort of movement, and taking those moves, making those, and what energy are we going to lean into to make the moves and to actually decide to move forward. So the permission, if you're trying to tie it up with your human design chart, is a different energy that you might have worked with before. It comes from your Black Moon Lilith, which has a fascinating story behind it. Um, but in this context, we're looking at it to give yourself permission. So as always, we've got the main info to do with the gateway itself, and then underneath we've got the approach that we are using with that. Now, for me, there is a line three energy here, which as you've noticed, if you've noticed as you've been looking through the rest of my chart, I don't have a lot of line three energy. I don't actually have line three energy really in my human design chart, but this is actually coming through from that other lens, from the Black Moon Lilith. So this was interesting for me to work with because it's an energy that I'm not used to. So for me to give myself permission, it's asking me to unleash my courage, which I definitely resonate with, moving through and unleashing my courage, to give myself permission to move through and do things. So when I see that written down, I'm like, yeah, right, okay, yep, yep, I can see that. Um, and one that I found really interesting was I actually found the codex after a period of transformation, of change. I You may not know my story depending on how you've come across this, but I used to, my first um, kind of foray into self-employment was actually back in 2013 when I quit my job at a marketing agency to become a cake designer. And I very quickly moved into the wedding arena and was making wedding cakes. And then because of my background and the roles that I'd had before I did that, I ended up coaching, mentoring, helping other people. Um, and I did it alongside the wedding cake business. And then I discovered human design. I didn't discover human design till 2020, and then the codex, etc. But I started integrating that into my world, and I realized COVID was a turning point for me, as it is for a lot of other people. The wedding industry kind of ground to a complete halt, and so I pivoted into the coaching and the mentoring, and that kind of became my full-time thing, dipping in here and there with the wedding industry, depending what was happening with the restrictions. But then when it came back full time, I realized that I just did not love that path for me anymore. And this was the path I wanted to go instead. And I wrestled very much with having to make that decision to close down a business I had had for 9 years that was very successful, was on paper everywhere where I wanted it to be, but it just wasn't actually lighting me up anymore. I'd done a lot of work with my human design and I'd understood why now. Like I could kind of see why this business wasn't really working for me anymore. And I had closed my cake business probably about 4 or 5 months before I found this codex. And when I read it and I had read this shared attachment to your expertise, I did do a little laugh to myself and a little chuckle because I was like, I have the most amount of knowledge about making wedding cakes, making cakes, the wedding industry, everything. And to move on to my next transformation doesn't mean I've lost all that knowledge. I haven't shared the knowledge. The knowledge is still in there, but I had to shed the attachment to all this knowledge I'd built up, and I just basically wasn't going to be using it anymore. I just wasn't going to be, it just wasn't going to be part of my life. And I could really see that I had to do that. I could see that I had to unleash my courage and give myself permission to close down a business that I had had that was perfectly good on paper and was earning me money just to, start again. But I initiated it from heart. And that's what this one is telling me. I initiated that change because it's what I wanted. It was making me happy. It's what my heart wanted. It wasn't a logical decision. Like the decision I made to close that business was not a logical decision. I really did initiate that decision from the heart. So when I read these three kind of approaches to transformation and change, um, I could really see it in the decisions I had made and the transformations I had made in retrospect. And even when I left and quit my job in the marketing agency to go and make wedding cakes again, I was kind of just starting something completely different and shedding my attachment to all this stuff that I had learned. Actually, it's come back round full circle, and now a lot of what I did at that role did actually help me. But again, guiding right at the center, what's anchoring me into this is into my passions, right? So I quit the job at the marketing agency and anchored into my passion of making wedding cakes. And then when I decided to close the wedding business and move into this, I anchored into what I was passionate about, which is human design and all the things that I was doing, which then led me to the codex. That's what I was excited about. That was my passion. That's what I was allowing to actually lead me through all of this and make the decision that was not logical on paper either time, quitting my perfectly good job, to just go self-employed. So in retrospect, I can see how all of these have helped me in the past, which now means moving forward. I can trust them more and I can lean into them. So when I'm making decisions now about where am I moving and what am I doing and what changes am I making, am I, initiating them from my heart and what I really want to do in my life and business? Am I being courageous and giving myself permission to go after what those desires are? And am I worrying about like, oh, well, I've spent so long learning this or doing that, building up my knowledge bank. I've spent so long doing that, like, oh, it's a waste. Like, I'm so attached to all this stuff I've learned. Actually, no, because it all comes back around and it all goes into the pot. And if you remember from the balance path, my purpose here, my why is this being this resource of knowing and depth and knowledge. And actually, it all goes into the pot. And the other day, one of my clients, she messaged me because she's making a birthday cake for her daughter, and she was asking me, how do you soften up fondant that's gone a bit hard? Now, has that got anything to do with business mentoring or human design? No, but I knew the answer. So, it all does come together. And in the next video, I am going to take you through my codex as a whole because I've been taking you through all the individual pieces and like what to look at and what to lean into. Um, and how are the words resonating for you? Um, and then hopefully, again, I love examples. And a lot of that comes actually from this gate, this human design. These gate 33 is in the throat, and it's actually all about like the lessons and sharing important lessons through stories. That's what this energy is all about. So that is an energy that I have in my gate, in my throat in human design. So that is one of the, I have four voices in my throat in human design, and this is one of them. So one of the voices that you will find me using is sharing lessons through stories. But to do that, it is really being reflective and actually giving myself the time to understand that. And if I'm stifled, if I'm just not actually letting myself express the wisdom of my lessons, like, but I do because I just did. So there we go. Um, the intuition is very interesting one for me. Moving into again, letting my intuition guide me. And not getting stuck in the logic. My intuition letting me know which is the path for me to follow. And the impact one, again, that was an interesting one because that's not the energy that I was used to. It was new to me because it wasn't in my human design chart. Um, but it's really kind of again, it's a bit of the creative self-expression here. Um, with my language, I'm just compelled really to actually go and share this expression and impact others. I can't help it. Like I just can't help it. And that's almost what it was like when I was making the decision and unleashing my courage to bring human design into my business. I was very masculine until that point. Nobody had ever considered me in any way, anything to do with astrology or this kind of thing. But I just kind of felt like I had to, this giving myself the permission to completely put human design and Success Codex and these pieces at the front and center of my business was because I just knew I had to. I just felt compelled that this is what people needed. This is what was going to actually impact others, and this is what was going to make the difference. Um, so again, I can see how all of these things play out in my chart, and then I can lean back into them when I need to. So it's a little bit of an overview of the transformation path. So each of the videos I have kind of focused on slightly different things. Some of them I've talked you through the approaches in more detail. Because when you come and if you want a reading, I go into all of it for you, like how does it actually all tie together for you with your gateway and your approach, and how do they all tie together, and what are the commonalities, what can you see, how can you actually work with this energy. So hopefully that has given you a little insight into the transformation path. Like I said, if you want to book a reading, all the details are below, but have a look and now start to put together like what are you seeing through all of these? You can lean into any of the paths as and when you want them. You can lean into one gateway, particularly something that you're drawn to. If you maybe notice an out of alignment cue that you're thinking, oh gosh, like I can see that showing up, maybe lean into that gateway first and play with it. Or just familiarize yourself again with what each path is actually helping you with, and when do you need to step into this? How is this helping you? And I will be back with another video to actually show you how I put all of this together for me and how I start to recognize the patterns, because that's what we're doing really. We're recognizing the patterns. We're recognizing when maybe we are following the patterns and allowing this natural energy to come out through us, but also where we're not allowing the energy to come out, and where is it complementing each other, and where are we actually, how are we building up this pattern of, okay, this is the whole energy, we've split it up to be able to get to know it, but when we put it all back together, what's it kind of showing us? How can we kind of, where can we see the connections, where can we see how these things are, you know helping us, and guiding us through. So yeah, the last piece will be that I'll be talking you through more my chart as a whole and showing you how to maybe look at the patterns and recognize the patterns across the whole chart. So hopefully I will see you soon. You can also come and join my free Facebook group. Um, and follow, subscribe, to get more updates. I'll be releasing more information about all of the different key codes on my blog as well as we go through. But yeah, hopefully, I will see you somewhere soon, and just jump in and see where it takes you.